Life is a journey of faith. Every day we face decisions, uncertainties, and situations that test our trust in something beyond ourselves. It's easy to get caught up in what we see, in the tangible evidence right before our eyes. But the Bible calls us to a higher standard, to walk by faith, not by sight. This doesn't mean we ignore reality or pretend difficulties don't exist. It means we choose to place our trust in a God who sees the bigger picture, who knows the end from the beginning. Walking by faith is about believing in God's promises, even when we don't see them fully manifested in our lives yet. It's about trusting that He is working behind the scenes, orchestrating every detail according to His perfect plan. It's about surrendering our limited understanding to His infinite wisdom. It's about embracing the adventure of following God's lead, knowing that He will never leave us nor forsake us. This journey of faith is not always easy, but it is always worth it. It's in those moments when we choose to trust, even when we don't fully understand, that we experience the fullness of God's power and love in our lives. Faith is not passive. It's not about sitting on the sidelines hoping for the best. True faith always requires action. It's about taking that first step, even when we can't see the whole staircase. Think about the disciples who left everything to follow Jesus. They didn't have all the answers, but they were moved by faith, compelled by a force greater than themselves. They trusted that as they stepped out in obedience, God would meet them there. And He did, time and time again. The same is true for us today. God is calling us to step out of our comfort zones, to embrace the unknown with courage and confidence. He's inviting us to be part of something bigger than ourselves, to make a difference in the world around us. It might be starting that business, pursuing that dream, or simply extending a hand of kindness to someone in need. Whatever it is, let faith be your guide. Don't let fear hold you back. Take that step and watch as God does extraordinary things through your willingness to believe. We live in a world that constantly bombards us with negativity, doubt, and fear. It's easy to get caught up in the what-ifs, to allow our circumstances to dictate our outlook. But walking by faith requires us to look beyond the natural, to see with spiritual eyes. The Bible tells us that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hebrews 11 verse 1. It's about believing in the unseen and the promises of God that have yet to be fully realized in our lives. When we choose to focus on God's faithfulness, on His goodness and love, we begin to see things differently. We are filled with hope, even in the midst of trials. We find strength to keep going, even when we feel like giving up. The world may tell us it's impossible, but God whispers, all things are possible to him who believes. Mark 9 verse 23. It's time to shift our perspective, to align our vision with God's vision. Let's choose to see with the eyes of faith, knowing that God is working all things together for our good. Romans 8 verse 28. Section 4. Standing strong when challenges arise. Let's be real, life isn't always easy. There will be times when our faith is tested, when we face challenges that shake us to our core. But in those moments, it's important to remember that we don't have to face them alone. God is with us always. He promises to never leave us nor forsake us. Deuteronomy 31 verse 6. When the storms of life come, and they will, don't allow fear to take root. Instead, stand firm on the foundation of God's word. His promises are our anchor in the midst of the storm. Remember the story of David and Goliath. David didn't look at the giant's size or strength. He looked at the size and strength of his God. The same principle applies to us. When we choose to focus on God's greatness, our problems begin to look smaller. We find the courage to stand strong, knowing that victory is ours through Christ. Section 5. Living in victory: the rewards of faith. Walking by faith is not always easy, but it is always rewarding. When we choose to trust God, to surrender our lives to His plan, we open ourselves up to a life of blessing, purpose, and victory. We experience the peace that surpasses understanding, the joy that comes from knowing we are living in His will. The Bible tells us that without faith, it is impossible to please God. Hebrews 11 verse 6. When we walk by faith, we please God and position ourselves to receive His blessings. We tap into a power that is greater than ourselves, a power that can overcome any obstacle and achieve the impossible. The journey of faith is a lifelong adventure, filled with ups and downs. But it's in those moments when we choose to trust, to believe, and to act on God's word that we experience the fullness of His love and power in our lives. Let us live lives of faith, knowing that God is with us every step of the way.